Hi, I'm Angel Tuccy, your media exposure specialist, and this is part two of the ABCs and 1, 2, 3s of media exposure systems and strategies to help you to attract more leads for your business, your book, or your brand, and to leverage the power of media interviews and publicity to create a bigger following, to build your list, to make more money, right? To monetize your exposure and build your $1 million business. And I'm super excited to go just a little deeper with you. In part one, we talked about your expertise, your title. What would you talk about if you were being featured, if somebody wanted to interview you, right? And you think, well, I want to be interviewed by, and you know, like who that is on your list. I want to be featured on, I want to be interviewed. Well, what would you talk about? What would you share with them? So in part one, we talked about focusing on one topic, one expertise, and owning your space, becoming the expert and the authority in your space. We also talked about that very clear call to action that is going to make sure that we monetize, that we use all of this exposure to build your audience. It all focuses on who's heard of you, making sure that you get even more exposure. And you know, right? You probably feel it right now. If more people have heard of me, if I could get in front of more people, my business would grow. That's the power of OPA, other people's audiences. And that's what we're teaching you today. So just a reminder, a little background about who I am. I was a talk show host out of Denver, Colorado, nationally syndicated, award-winning broadcast for 10 years. I was also the host of a second 2-hour Christian lifestyle show. So I was the host of 4 hours of talk radio every day. Also, 11-time published author of my own books, and then I've got articles or chapters or forewords or endorsements in about a dozen more. Over this last year, we've helped about 49 authors take their book and get it out to become bestsellers, to build their $1 million business. And we also host a Media Mastery Bootcamp that we put together 3 times a year, where we bring you together to launch you in a really big and spectacular way. I'm also the host of a daily talk show right now, the Angel and Tina Morning Show. It broadcasts on Facebook Live as well as digitally streamed on all the smart on-demand digital streaming TV platforms. So you can follow me there. But I am so excited just to help you to baby step what it means to create more exposure, to build a smarter business, one to many, right? One to media, to attract more leads and make more money in your business. So we talked about a couple of myths about engagement versus exposure, building our business one person at a time. Those are how you build relationships. But the fortune's in the media. Absolutely, the fortune is in the media. So the step number 1 was to focus on and position yourself as an expert, and to make sure you have a very singular call to action that helps you to stay in your lane. Secondly is the power of PR and press releases. How often are you putting out a press release for your business? If you've got news, you should alert the press. Oh, I should actually start my my timer so I make sure that I don't go over. I think I did this yesterday too. So making sure that if you've got news, alert the press. So I'm going to ask you, what's new? What's new in business? Look at your calendar. Look at your to-do list. What have you done recently? Did you launch a program? Start a course? Become a bestseller? Publish your book? Did you align with a nonprofit? Have you hired a brand new software service? Have you changed the way that you are doing business? Have you had a breakthrough or hit a milestone? What's new? When you think about what's new in your business, you have the opportunity to create a press release, an official document that we send to news desks, so that you and your story can get picked up by your local media outlets, perhaps be featured on their website, or even brought in for an interview, or they might even send a media crew out to do an on-location interview with you. But how do you get that? Through the power of a press release. This is how you communicate with the media. When I was host of the morning show, the morning talk show, my radio show in the morning, we would get into the studio at about 3 in the morning, 3:30 in the morning, and start putting together the program for the day. We had a lot of airtime, dead air, white noise to fill. So what are we going to talk about for this entire time? Well, we would scour through the press releases that were submitted. When you submit your press release, it goes into, so a couple of ways. One, you can submit it directly to that news station. I'll tell you how. And number two, you can submit it through a distribution service that journalists subscribe to so that they are getting the news fed to them on a daily basis. If you want to get major media coverage, right? You want major media to pick up your story. They get their news from their regional affiliates, kind of those sister stations in the region. Those regional stations get their news from their local stations, and the local stations get their news from press releases. This is good news for you. They are looking for stories every single day. In fact, every single local news station, so think about your morning news shows, they have right on their website a place that you can submit your press releases to them. Why? They need your stories. So every time you think I'm going to post this on social media, I'm going to tell my friends, I'm going to tell my clients, hey, this is what's new and what's up. Think about how could you turn that into a headline and submit it as a press release to your local news desk. So a headline starts with extra, read all about it. Angel Tuccy speaking on this summit, right? That's a headline. That's something new. Launches a book, hits a milestone, has a breakthrough. Your company does this, or if it's your personal brand, Angel Tuccy, or it could be Vedette Global Media, hits this milestone. First 100 clients, first 1,000 clients, hits that $1 million mark. In fact, we just did a press release for a brand new business. She just hit the $1 million mark. And so we are alerting the press. This is a valuable piece of information or document that most small business owners aren't leveraging at all. And yet, let me tell you what happened when Wendy did a press release. I'll give you a couple of little stories just to get you excited about doing a press release. And then I'm going to give you also an infographic of 52 press release ideas so that you don't have to come up with this. Like, what would I share? What would I do? I'm going to walk you through it, and then I'm going to give you the infographic. So you've got 52 press release ideas. That's one a week. That's one a year. I don't want you necessarily to put out a press release once a week for a year. You don't have to do it that often. Once a month is adequate. In fact, the formula that I teach my clients for creating consistent exposure and to monetize this $1 million business is 2 interviews a week and 1 press release a month. 2 interviews a week and 1 press release a month. You stay in your lane. It's not overwhelming. You can put that into your day. You're building your business one to many. You're attracting more leads. You're only dealing with customers versus tire kickers and fence sitters. You're monetizing it and you're scaling it. If you want to have a 2 comma business, right? I was singing Boy George, right? Comma, a million, right? I don't sing, but anyways, if you want to have a 2 comma business, you have to automate, you have to delegate, and you have to scale with leveraging the power of media and publicity. You have to build your business one to many. OPA, other people's audiences. You cannot do it one-on-one. Anyways, back to your press release. Extra, read all about it. Think about your headlines. My company is doing this. We are hitting this milestone, and we're going to submit those press releases either one-on-one directly to those local news stations, or we're going to use a press release service to distribute those. We offer our press release subscription platform where we write and automate your press release and put it out every single month for our clients so that they never miss a beat. Every single month, a press release is going out. So Wendy, she put out a press release that she was invited to speak for a nonprofit. She teaches financial literacy, and she has a talk on how to spend your tax refund. And so she's got her strategy and she's got her tips, and she was invited to speak to this nonprofit on her tax strategies, her tax refund strategies. And she thought she would be speaking for free, right? Because, going and giving back to the community, perhaps attracting a few new clients into her sales funnel. It's a very common strategy and business model. Well, she wrote the press release and announced this nonprofit that she was speaking in this press release. And she sent the press release to the head of the nonprofit to let them know that she got them a little extra PR from this press release. Well, all of a sudden, they found $1,000 in their speaker budget. she was a bigger deal. She's getting press and PR, and they were able to find that budget, that money in a different bucket now that she has elevated their brand and given them some marketing and PR, and they paid her $1,000 on a talk that she thought she was going to be doing for free. Bradley wanted to go in and speak to his local schools. He teaches children how to deal with grief, right? So whenever there's a suicide or a shooting or something tragic in the community, or even if they just lose a grandparent or a pet, he wants to teach children how to deal with grief, right? How to talk about it and how to recover from it and heal. He wanted to do that in the schools. Well, he wasn't getting anywhere. He was calling and getting the runaround. He put out a press release of the book that he did with his grandson about dealing with grief, and submitted that press release onto their local, like a local community group, a Facebook group, a social media group, and submitted that press release, shared that press release there. Somebody from the school saw the press release and the coverage that the press release was getting, and they called him and then opened the door to all the area schools. The same people he couldn't get to take his phone call just the few months before had now completely booked him to come and speak to all the schools in the area from the power of a press release. And so there's a lot of things a press release will do for you. Attract leads, share your story, create publicity. When your local news station picks it up, those are on ABC, NBC, CBS affiliates. So now you get those coveted media logos, as seen on. You can share that link with those mastheads on your social media. So you create scroll stopping social media posts. You get to use it to build your list, to attract leads. But there's some really creative, even more, like we want to think even bigger. If we're going to be a part of this 2 Comma Club, we've got to think bigger. So one more story about a press release and then we'll move along. But Tina put out her press release, and somebody who has a membership, a monthly membership subscription box. Maybe you subscribe to some of these boxes, little surprise gifts that come in every single month. They saw her press release about her book becoming a #1 new release, #1 bestseller. They want to put her book, or invited her to put her book in their media subscription box and send it out to their entire membership database. Super powerful. So, power of a press release once a month will elevate the scroll, elevate your brand when people Google you, because now they have heard of you. Difference between publicity and traditional marketing. With traditional marketing, you want to make sure that you're optimized for the keywords that people are searching for. Where do I? So, maybe, they want shoes, right? And shoes is a really big word. Well, I want shoes for dogs, right? And so you want to make sure that your brand is optimized for what people are searching for. All your online sites, everything is optimized. So when they search you, you organically show up in the search results. With a press release, now people have heard of you, right? Now you get to put all those extra juicy keywords in that press release. So now when people search it, your press releases, multiples on hundreds, if not thousands of media desks, all rise up so that your website shows up first. We saw this really kick in when we did a press release for the She Network. Google is a search engine. It's going to go out and search for everything that's out there. And the She Network are some very common words. They're in everything. So if you were to type them into Google, you're going to get over 3 billion results. But you're also going to see her brand that shows up because of the power of these press releases. It's incredible. So if you've got news, alert the press. Distribute it on a national database so that you can get that lift and that coverage for your story. And put your story right in front of journalists who can interview you on radio, television, podcasts, summits, stages. So, talked about focusing on one expert topic, having a very clear call to action, leveraging the power of press releases to connect directly with the media. The final piece that I'm going to talk about is on really how to monetize your intellectual property. It's also the #1 way to get booked on media, how to create media campaigns to be invited without having to pay for advertising. It opens up doors. It also leverages the power of a very powerful online search engine that is going to help you to monetize even more. And it is so powerful. But there's one thing that even if it's not, you didn't pay for advertising, you can't sell your programs, you can't use it to fill your funnels or sell your programs and services. There's one thing they will let you sell, and that is your book. In fact, I think I have here, I have a copy of, well, I've done 11, so I have quite a few, but this is the ABCs of exposure, right? ABCs and 1, 2, 3s for how to systematize leveraging the power of media and exposure to attract more leads and to build your list, build authority, become an influencer in the space, do all of that. But publishing a book, are you a published author? Because if you are already a published author, or you want to be a published author within the next 90 days, we teach a very simple system for becoming a published author within 90 days. We call it your food book. It's the book that puts food on the table. Again, matches you up as the expert, puts you on the right stages in front of the right clients, and you get to be interviewed for free. You're totally the expert, right? When you are the published author. Within 90 days from today, if you don't have your food book, the book that puts food on the table, that attracts leads, you could have that book published within 90 days. How do I know? Because we created the system, right? 90 days from today, this was our food book template, our beta to see, could it be done? This particular book, right? 90 days from today, I say you can be published, but this one from start to published, took us 3 days. Now, it was my 9th book. I wouldn't ask you to do that with your first one, but 90 days from today, you could have a 100-page love letter for your clients. We're going to monetize your intellectual property. You're going to document, what do you do now? What do you do every day? What do you do daily? How do you take your clients through? How do you do your sales funnel? Everything that you are doing, I want you to start documenting. You probably already have about 60 pages of content in your computer right now, waiting for you to monetize. We can take all of that content, looks like website content, articles, blogs, social media posts, frequently asked questions, PowerPoint presentations. We bring all of that and put it into a formula so that we can put a 100-page book together and get that published on the incredible, valuable platform called Amazon. Amazon wants you to make money. They have everything in place to help you to create a lucrative business selling just your book. So I'm just going to leave you with like a little math equation. If your book is selling for about $25, or you have a product that is selling for about $25, or you have multiple products selling for about $25, 100 sales a day is $1 million business. 100 sales a day is $1 million business. But once you build your list, once you leverage the power of publicity and unleash the Amazon sales beast, you can create that within the next few years, maybe even less, right? The timing is all up to you. Do you want to go aggressive and go fast and jump in? I think that would be amazing. Become so obsessed with what you want because you get what you think about. And when you have faith and you take action, the world shows up to support you, to guide you, and to create miracles. So there's $1 million funnel just with you publishing your book. Now, what they always tell us from stage is that there's no money in the book, right? And I believed it. I believed it to be true as well. I bought into that the money's in the long-term sale, it's in the customers, and it's in the sales funnel and the lifetime value. And that's true. But what if it was also in the book? Wouldn't you want to tap into that if there was a sales partner that was going to give you a web page, marketing, distribution, fulfillment, and it wasn't going to cost you anything in upfront inventory to get it created, and on the back end you could create if you were just selling 200 books a week or a month, that's an extra $5,000 in revenue, month in, month out. How do you do that? 2 interviews a week, 1 press release a month. 2 interviews a week puts you in front of OPA, other people's audiences. You're selling 25 copies of your book twice a week, and then 1 press release that promotes and is the glue that brings it all together. 25 books, that's 200 books in a month. That's $5,000 in revenue with no upfront inventory costs. Pretty powerful stuff. You're sitting on $1 million. You're sitting on publicity with press releases. You're sitting on exposure. You can build your list. You can attract more leads. You can create a consistent business model, all from the comfort of your own home. In fact, all of this you can do without even getting out of bed in the morning. You can do media interviews, right? It's all online. It's all through Skype. You can publish your book. You can do online publications. You can run your sales funnels. You can monetize your intellectual property. You can do this all from the comfort of your own home with 2 media interviews a week and 1 press release a month. I think that's pretty darn juicy. I think that's so exciting. This is what we teach our clients at Media Mastery. We baby step you through it, and you can read all of the juicy tips right here in ABCs of Exposure. So I'm Angel Tuccy. I am your media master or your media exposure specialist. They call me the media matchmaker. I have a radio talk show host that when you are ready to launch your business, your book, or your brand, we'd love to interview you as our guest on our show. I have a Facebook group that is it's a place where we say, find guests, get booked. It's a free group called Need a Guest. Need a Guest. So for podcasters, you need guests. Go to needaguest.com. It'll take you right to our free Facebook group. And you can connect if you want to be interviewed. You can connect directly with podcasters right there. We have a list of hundreds of podcasters that we connect our clients to make sure that we're getting you on 2 stages a week, 2 podcasts a week, and 1 press release a month. That's 100 stages a year. OPA, other people's audiences. It's waiting for you. It's waiting for you. You are sitting on a gold mine. So show up, serve others, and shine your light so brightly. And I can't wait to see you in the media. Angel Tuccy, Media Exposure Specialist. Let's get you plugged in today.